Good evening. Tonight we're going to start with lesson 17 in our fraction unit. I can use visual models to add and subtract two fractions with the same units, including subtracting from one whole. So basically we're going to be using subtraction. Sometimes we can actually help us with addition. So we could have something that looks like this: 1 whole take away 5/8. In other words, we can also say 5/8 plus what fraction will give us a whole. So we can use these any way we want, because remember, addition and subtraction are inverse operations. So let's get started. Use the following 3 subtractions to write 2 subtraction and 2 addition number sentences. So what we have here, we're used to seeing this when we had to write our fact families, and we're going to use these 3 fractions. So we have an improper fraction, a fraction greater than 1 right here, and then we have 2 other ones. So what we're going to do is we're going to show the different fact families that we can create from this. So I'll do 5/6 plus 4/6, and that equals 9/6. And we also then can do 9/6 take away 4/6 is equal to 5/6. And then we can do 9/6 take away 5/6 equals 4/6. And then we've got, we can do 4/6 plus 5/6 and get 9/6. So here we showed 2 subtractions and 2 addition number sentence for these 3 fractions. Solve. Model the subtraction problem with the number line and solve by counting up and subtracting. Okay, so we have 1 whole take away 5/8. And when we look at the denominator, 8/8, we know that we're dealing with 8s. So that means we're going to take this whole and we're going to change it, and we want to make it into 8/8. And then we can subtract right across. We also can make 5/8 plus what, kind of use that inverse operation, gives us 1 whole. We can go back to the good old number line and model this and say that here we're starting at 5/8 and we want to work all the way up to 1 whole, which again is 8/8, because that's our denominator, 8s. And we're going to count up 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, and we landed on a whole. So this would be 3/8. We also can go back and we can say 1 whole take away 5/8, and we can show another number line, and we can start the opposite way. We can start at the whole, which we know is 8/8, and we want to go down 5/8. So let's see. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So where would that leave us? 7/8, 6/8, 5/8. All right, we have 4/8, and we've got 1 more, which would leave us to 3/8. So when we go over here, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're left with 3/8. So these are different ways and strategies that we could solve these type of problems. Solve. Model the subtraction problem with the number line and solve counting up and subtracting. All right, so we're going to do what we just previously did with this fraction, this number sentence, 1 and 3/6 take away 5/6. So what we're going to do is we're going to want to break this down using a number bond. And how many holes we have here? Well, since we're dealing with 6, we have 6, 6. And since we take away that 6, 6, we're left with 3, 6. Okay? So we know that this is equal, if we add this, this would equal to 9/6. So we can say 9/6, 9/6 take away 5/6 would be equal to 4/6. So we kind of just combined and we added the 6/6, the whole, plus the 3/6 to get 9/6, and then we took away the 5/6 to get 4/6. And now, how would that look like on a number line? And a number line would look like this. So let's draw a number line, and we are starting at, we're here at 5/6, and then we've got 6/6, we got 7/6, so now we're greater than 1, 8/6, and then we've got 9/6. Okay, now that we're at 9/6, we are going to show that we're going at 5/6, and we're trying to end up at 9/6. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're right here because we're 9/6, and we went up 4/6 to get to 9/6. So that's one way of showing it. And another way is by going back to 1 and 3/6, and we're taking away 5/6. And again, we're showing that one whole is 6/6, and we're adding this to the fraction that we have next to it, because this is a mixed number, 3/6, to get 9/6, just like we did before, and we're taking away 5/6, which we know is equal to 4/6. Now, if we create a number line showing this, and we start at 9/6 and work all the way down to 4/6, how much did we go down by? Okay, so we've got 8/6, we've got 7/6, we got a whole, which is 6/6, and then we're left with 5/6. So if we're starting at 9/6, and we are going, let's see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we're left with, we're on 4/6. Now, guys, if I asked you, if I said in the problem, please make sure that you are simplifying, reducing. If we look at 4/6, what is the GCF of 4 and 6? The GCF of 4 and 6 would be 2. So we divide the top and the bottom by 2, and we get 2/3. Very important, boys and girls, to make sure that we're looking for those equivalent fractions so we can be able to reduce, simplify, or in lowest terms. All right, find the difference in two ways. Use number bonds to decompose the total. So we're going to look at 1 and 2/5, and we're going to decompose it. So let's decompose 1 and 2/5, and we're looking at fifths, so we know the whole is going to represent 5/5. And we are left with 2/5 on this side. Okay, and now since we can add these two up, we're going to get 7/5. So now we can subtract 7/5, take away 4/5, and we get 3/5. All right, that is one way, but they want us to show different ways of doing it. We can take 5/5 plus the 2/5 equals 7/5. See how we can bring it back together again? So you have all these different ways of showing. We can use the inverse operation in finding the difference of these two fractions. And number bonds is going to help us break that down easier for us so we can solve it quicker. Another way we can do this is taking 5/5, that whole, and subtracting it with the 4/5 because that's what we had in the original problem was 4/5. And then once we get that, we get 1/5. And then we can take that 1/5 and add it to the fraction that was left with the whole right there, because we haven't used that yet. And what we get here is 3/5, just like we got here and here. All right, now we're going to do another one, and we're going to see 3/8 take away 7/8. And we do that, we're going to decompose it by using number bonds. Since we're dealing with 8s, I have one whole that represents 8s, and then I'm left with 3/8. And when I add these up, we are going to get 11/8. Okay, and we're going to take 11/8 and we are going to subtract it with 7/8. And we now get 4/8. But boys and girls, let's look at 4/8. And we want to look for the greatest common factor of 4 and 8 because we want it in lowest terms. Well, it's 4, not 2. And the greatest one, because if we use 2, we would have to simplify again. We don't want to do that. We don't want to waste our time. So 4 goes into 4 once, 4 goes into 8 twice, and we get a half. All right, guys, it's your time to try out some problems on your own. Mistakes are proof that you're trying. Now, that is what I call the truth. Words to live by, people. Give it your best shot. First one, solve. 1, 4, 6, take away 5, 6. Use your number bonds, number lines, anything that you need to do to help you solve this problem. And I want to see your work tomorrow. Solve 1 and 4 ninths, take away 5 ninths. And I want to see your work tomorrow. And your last one, 1 and 3/7, take away 5/7. Bring in your work tomorrow. Mistakes are proof that you are trying. Didn't I tell you guys, 4th graders, that this is the way to go? Always do your best, and it's okay to make mistakes, because after you make all these mistakes, you are learning, and you are going to get it right in the bullseye. I promise. Remember, mistakes equal learning. Have a wonderful night, guys.